Okay. I call this meeting of the Mayor and Commissioners Business Meeting for Tuesday, July 22nd at 7 p.m. to order. Could I have the roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Walker,
Here.
Commissioner Warnick,
Here.
Commissioner Alfieri,
Here.
Mayor Marion.
Here.
All commissioners and mayor are present.
Would you please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Tonight I am going to have a moment of silence for, we were actually going to do a public presentation for our guard and for our reserve. So I'm going to have a moment of silence in memory of those that have lost loved ones in the conflicts of war at this time. Thank you. Moving into approval of minutes. Some of you have, all of you should have the packet for the meeting minutes of July 8th, 2014. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from this town meeting?
Move we approve the minutes.
I second.
The motion's been moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes. Okay, we have a report of the executive session from July 22nd, 2014. Do we have that executive session report?
Let me see if Mr. Hohenberger is ready to join us.
Okay,
He had some guests downstairs.
bear with us just for a moment.
That's good. I can move over some. That's good. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Could we please extend a courtesy for one more minute?
Oh, sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Sure, that's fine. We are back after a short momentary recess. I'm going to move into the reporting of the executive session from July 8th, July 22nd, 2014. Town Administrator, do you have that report?
Yes, I do. On July 22nd, 2014, at 5 p.m. on the second floor of the Town Hall, the Mayor and Commissioners met in executive session as provided for by the Maryland Open Meetings Act. A motion was made by Commissioner Warnick, seconded by Commissioner Arthurreath, to go into executive session. At that time, Commissioners Arthurreath, Walker, and Warnick were in attendance. Mayor Marion had reported that he would be a little bit late to the meeting. The reason for the meeting, in accordance to the Maryland Open Meetings Act, was to discuss item number 1, personnel, and then item number 8, to consult with staff consultants or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. The topics discussed was an update on all pending legal activities and issues involving the town. And for the resident standpoint, this is essentially a meeting that's done every year to bring the newly elected officials up to speed with any type of legal or potential litigation or any legal issues involving the town. The topics discussed was an overview of the open meeting, closed meeting law and the provisions and the legalities and liabilities associated with open meetings versus closed meetings. The pending sewer litigation involving the contractor for the sewer plant. There was some discussion for financial legal issues involving our bonds and our financing with the sewer plant. There was a personnel issue that was discussed, and the current status of the lawsuit filed by previous Mayor Bob Fisher. Persons at the meeting was the town attorney Jay Gullo, the wastewater project attorney Mitch Kearney, the bond counsel Kimberly Min, the town clerk Marcia Spencer, and the town administrator Calvin A. Bonenberger Jr. At 6:54 p.m., a motion was made by Commissioner Walker, seconded by Commissioner Warnick to adjourn the meeting. That motion carried 3-0. Let me also note that at roughly 6:20 p.m., Mayor Marion joined the meeting. And that concludes. There were no other action items taken at the meeting. That concludes the executive session report.
Thank you, Town Administrator. I'm going to move into the public presentations. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the support for the Guard and Reserve. We do have some, we actually have a colonel and another reservist who wants to come. And what I think that I may do is I may have a brief photo session with them when they can show up and come. But at this time, if Ms. Spencer, do you have the proclamation with you? I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation, and then I'm going to sign it. Let me give you a little bit of a back history with this. What this is a statement of support for the Guard and Reserve of the state of Maryland. Commissioner Walker graciously had a good conversation with them, and he gave me their information. And I contacted them to let them know that the town of Rising Sun is very supportive of what they say here in this statement. So I'm going to go ahead and read it, and then I will sign it once it is read. This says, the statement of support for the Guard and Reserve. We recognize the Guard and Reserve are essential to the strength of our nation and the well-being of our communities. In the highest American tradition, the patriotic men and women of the Guard and Reserve serve voluntarily in honorable and vital professions. They train to respond to their community and their country in their time of need. They deserve the support of every segment of our society. If these volunteer forces are to continue to serve our nation, increased public understanding is required of the essential role of the Guard and Reserve in preserving our national security. Therefore, we join other employers in pledging that we fully recognize, honor, and enforce the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Act. We will provide our managers and supervisors with the tools they need to effectively manage those employees who serve in the Guard and Reserve. We appreciate the values, leadership, and unique skills service members bring to the workforce and will encourage opportunities to employ Guardsmen, reservists, and veterans. We will continually recognize and support our country's service members and their families in peace, in crisis, and in war. This is signed by the Secretary of Defense and the National Chair for the Employer Support of Guard and Reserve. I'm going to add my signature at this time to this, and this will be put in Town Hall. This basically is a statement saying that if any of our employees or future employees, for one reason or the other, have to be deployed, we guarantee that we will keep their job. So I think that that is very important, especially in this society with ongoing conflicts overseas, that we will let them know that we support them. So I'm going to go ahead and sign this. Okay, And now we're going to move into business meeting items. Do we have any business meeting items at this time? Okay, hearing none. If I could get the citizens' input, please.
Chief, can you turn that other monitor on?
Okay, I have a citizens input sign-in sheet here. And it looks like Jeff Achenbach, you are the one person on the list. Would you like to speak tonight? Okay. Would anyone else like to speak at this time? Hearing none, we're going to move from citizens input into the mayor's report. My report is kind of brief this evening. There's a couple of focal points that I would like to bring up. One is a little bit of what I spoke of at the swearing-in ceremony, and that is our old district of town, our downtown area. I've been speaking with a lot of the team here and the commissioners here about the importance of the town of Rising Sun aesthetically improving their buildings and the way that they come off. With that being said, we have, some of you may have noticed that we have cleaned Town Hall. The outside of the building was power washed and cleaned. There are other things that are going to be done in the next week or so, like some painting touch-up outside, some new rocking chairs on one side of the building, and we also improved a little bit of the interior, as you can see, with some new carpet and paint. I'm in the belief that if I'm going to go out in this community and ask the owners of these buildings that are across the street from this building to work on the aesthetics of their building, that my building and the town of Rising Sun's building should aesthetically look beautiful. We will do everything in our power to make sure that every segment of the town that is our property is cleaned, is kept nice, and that we represent the town of Rising Sun to the best of our ability. I'm going to be starting a Main Street Matters campaign. The Main Street Matters campaign is basically going to be a sit-down with the building owners in the old district of town. I'm going to be speaking with them about improving the aesthetics of their building, how we can help them to get these buildings filled, and I will also be working with Commissioner Warnick and our economic development team in pursuing how we can support our old district in the future. I know I've been speaking with Commissioner Warnick about some possible appointments to this committee, and he is working hard to find members at this time. So I would like to ask them to contact him if you are interested in joining our economic development team. We are looking for people that have business experience, are interested in joining the community and bringing forth some new ideas. We are also interested in those that may have advertising or management experience as well. So moving from that, I did want to say a big thank you to Lowe's. They donated over $2,000 in block to Triangle Park. That is a wonderful thing that they've done. We are actually going to be able to build some things that we wouldn't have been able to build without that donation. So 2 beautiful pillars are going to be welcoming you, and then also the welcome sign that you will see from the roadway will all be done in beautiful block. So a big thank you to Lowe's in Northeast for doing that. I wanted to say that in the past, over the past two and a half weeks, I have hosted a young man from Spain in my home. And he has become like family to me. Commissioner Warnick also has been hosting 2 of these kids from Spain, and they meet and have class at Jane's United Methodist Church here in our town. And there are also multiple families that live in the town of Rising Sun in the outlying areas that are housing these students. If you have extra room, or if you would be interested in this program next year, I highly, highly, highly would recommend it. I am the type of person that was very nervous. Commissioner Warnick would tell you that every single time he would ask me, hey, they need a room for these kids, I would say, there's no way I can handle this. I really just, the thought of a 16-year-old coming in my home and basically being able to do whatever he wanted to do was very nerve-wracking to me. But after talking to me multiple times, he won me over, and I met with with Ron Erickson, who is the what is his official title?
He's the area coordinator.
He's the area coordinator for Rising Sun. And I sat down and talked with him, and I ended up with this young man, and his name is Edgar. And Commissioner Warnick would tell you that Edgar has definitely made a difference in my life. He has shown me what I take for granted, and the benefits that I have here, even from living in Spain, which is a developed country. The things that I take for granted, like a donut or a pack of crackers,
Lucky Charms.
is Lucky Charms, is something that they don't have over there. It's something that they really enjoy here. Myself and Commissioner Warnick have been going to the store every other day to buy milk for these kids to eat their cereal because they can't get enough of it. But you will be blessed if you have the opportunity to house one of these kids. So you will see posters next year, I'm sure of it, asking to house these kids, and I will be right there with them, doing everything I can to help them and let them know that the town of Rising Sun has their support and that this program has their support, because it not only makes a difference in their lives in the fact that they can learn English, that they can learn about American culture, but it'll also make a difference in your life. It truly will. So with that being said, I'm going to move into our staff reports, and our chief of police, if you could come up and give your report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. There's nothing significant to report this period. There's no trends or crime waves in the town right now that we've identified. However, what you will learn and what you may see on the report there is that we have taken a very active role with traffic lately. We have made several DWI arrests that could be associated with the holidays that we've just had, or just the summer months where people were more outdoors and active. But what we're trying to do is make sure that the motoring public is aware that Rising Sun, when you come through, you're not going to come through in excessive speeds or driving recklessly. So you'll see those numbers a little higher than normal on the report. Also, I have given the new commissioners some information. One is a report that was presented at MML by a local attorneys group that explains some things that go along with law enforcement that the legislative body for this town should be aware of. And the other one is the Bill of Rights for law enforcement officers. And that is my report for this evening, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Chief Peterson.
Before I step away, I did want to promote one thing. August 5th is the National Night Out Against Crime. We, again, will be partnering with the Boys and Girls Club. You don't have to attend that event. What you do need to do or should do is just step outside, enjoy your neighbors for that 2.5 hours, and let anyone and everyone know that you are taking a stance against crime in the town of Rising Sun. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get the financial reports, please?
I know we have some new people here, and I've actually met with one of the commissioners and explained a little bit about the financial statements. And you will see that there's a compilation report on top of it, and, oh, sorry. Then there is, after that, there is the balance sheet. These numbers are going to drastically change because at the end, the next month that you see, and normally we would have had this meeting in June, but we've had a lot of things going on in June. So what we do is we have the report the month after that month ends. And it's normally the second meeting, but it sometimes varies too. So we're going to go through, and as you can see, we have cash of about $53,000, and I'm going to go through this a little quickly tonight because I think we all want to get out in the nice weather. We have the MLGIP, which is our savings of 28,000. We have investments of 94. We have restricted cash of 75,000. For those of you who are new, you might wonder what the $75,000 restricted cash is for. And when we went to get the streets and sidewalks loan, we had to set this money aside because of certain issues with the prior mayor. We have receivables of 82 and we have other receivables 11,000. You will see we have accounts payable, and this is basically the payroll accrual of about 9,000. And we loan money between the various different funds. So as of right now, the proprietary fund has loaned the governmental fund $225,608.76. And the main reason for this is due to the fact we have put the money out for Triangle Park and the recreation equipment, but we have not received the money yet for that, the grant money. If you open up the next page, you will see we have collected total revenue of $1,380,440.31. I received today backup that will be accruing another $142,000 grant for Triangle Park. So that will increase our revenue significantly. We will also be getting all of the last little bits of money that come in July that actually belong to June that we will accrue, so that will increase the number more. We have total expenditures of $2,196,623.42. The difference is mainly covered by the loan for the streets and sidewalks, which you will see. And you will see your different funds. You have general service, police, planning, zoning, public works, streets and sidewalks, solid waste, parks and recreation, debt, and disaster response. So you will see proceeds from the long-term debt. If you're used to an for-profit, this is a little bit different accounting. This is governmental accounting. And then you will see a negative change of $206,000. So even though it looks like we're in the negative by $206,000, when we get done, we have the $142,000, and I believe there's some more grants out there that I do not have all the information for yet. We will probably be in the black. We go on to what most people find, then you will find the next 3 pages where you will find the budget to actual and then the variance of that budget to actual. So you will have the general services, and you will see the variance there. Then you have police, planning and zoning, public works, the same thing, all the budget to actual. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay. At the very last page, on page 8, you will see the total budget to actual. You will see we are down in revenue compared to what we budgeted of $239,994. But, you know, we still have all the accruals to do. We are just slightly over the expenditures of budget by $41,505.18. And this is mainly due to streets and sidewalks. We ended up doing some more repairs there than we thought we did. But if you go down to the next line, you will see that we borrowed an additional $59,000 to cover that streets and sidewalks, those additional expenditures. So this is the government fund, and then the water and the sewer is in what we call the proprietary funds. And those run more like a for-profit business. They do not follow all of the rules that governmental accounting follows with government. Page 3 will be your balance sheet, cash and cash equivalent. The total is $194,000. The MLGIP is $1,772,940. You will see due to water, because at times we loan money between the water and the sewer of $103,912. We have restricted cash and cash equivalent, and for those of you who are new, this happens to be the money that sits in PNC to cover the rest of the water and sewer construction. And then we have the capital assets of $16 million and the accumulated depreciation of $2.8 million. And then you will see at the bottom, due from the government. In other words, you remember on the government you had a liability. Here is part of that receivable. The sewer, actually, this month, and it is not always this way, they owe the government money, but the water, the government owes the water money. So if you net those two numbers together, they will be equal to the penny. And then we have $1,108,000 of liability for the last water tank that we got, and then the $13 million loan for the new sewer plant, for total loans of $14,208,863.10. We have a total assets of $20 million. Any questions about the balance sheet for the proprietary? Then you will see that so far this year, we have collected $1 million worth of revenue for water and sewer, and we have $854,000 worth of expenditures. So we were running in the black by $222,000. And then we have, the interest income, interest expense, for a total profit of $225,399.67. If you go on to, you'll have your water budget to actual, and then you'll have the sewer budget to actual, and then you'll have the total budget to actual. And in there, you will see the variances. We are actually running $84,000 higher than we anticipated, budget versus actual, and we have spent $95,000 less than what we were planning on, and that's the reason why it's so in the positive. Behind this, you will find all the list of all the checks that we wrote for that month. And, I have a very open door policy. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call and I can explain the detail of anything to you. And I met with Alan yesterday and I gave him a more detail, which is something, if you would like to see it in that format, that's perfectly fine. Just vote among yourselves and let me know what you want to do. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. Town Administrator, do you have a report tonight?
Yeah, I have a couple items that I wanted to bring to your attention. Under general administration, we have just about completed the conversion to the new healthcare carrier. Switching carriers resulted in a nice savings for the town, so we had to get all the employees and all the information that's required to get them registered. I believe the healthcare cards have gone out, and the HRA account cards have also gone out also. As Mayor Marion had mentioned, the town hall building was power washed. Also, all the non-carpeted floors in the building have been buffed and cleaned. And as you can see, when you came in and here on the third floor, the foil was repainted. This room has been repainted and new carpeting. The carpeting, that, if you recall, in here and downstairs was all original carpeting. It was really getting tattered and torn. So that's all been replaced. From a financial standpoint, from a budget standpoint, our pricing for the healthcare, I just got done stating that we saved a fairly substantial amount of money switching carriers. The original estimate they gave us was prior to getting the limited information that they're able to get from people under the new healthcare regulations. But once we submitted the information to them, we actually saved even more money. That the estimate that the broker gave us was actually higher than what the actual cost is. So from a healthcare standpoint, the town's going in the right direction with providing the employees with healthcare, but also keeping the cost in line. The other thing that I wanted to mention real quickly here is you just went through the budget here, and if you recall in the general fund that we had looked at, I'm going to go back here. When you look at all the various departments that make up the general fund here, the general services, police, planning, public works, streets and sidewalks, those, as we've said before, are essentially individual departments within the general fund that helps us to track and allocate revenue and expenses and what it costs to do things. As we're moving forward with this economic development initiative, I've spoken to Commissioner Warnick and Patty Wagner, our accountant, and it lends itself for us to be creating a new department in there. Our last department, I believe, is streets and sidewalks. The accounting number is the 40 range. And then the next department is debt service in there. I'm thinking that we may want to create a new department for economic development and community revitalization so that we can basically start to fund and earmark what it's costing us and what kind of services we're going to set aside for economic development in the future. So in order to do this, there are certain expenses and revenues that are already accounted for in our budget, but we're talking about pulling them out and earmarking them specifically to that new department that we would create. It doesn't really raise, we're not talking about really increasing revenue, increasing expenses, we're talking about allocating them. In order to do that, I would suggest that maybe in the near future we do a budget amendment to basically get the board to essentially ratify a new budget that would account for that. Also, with the savings in the healthcare, we could also potentially earmark some of that savings for some other initiatives. It's not a lot of money, but it gives us an opportunity to do a budget amendment. So I just wanted to let you know what we're thinking about. Over the weekend, there was an issue with trash collection in town. This is not the first time that this has happened. It does seem to be specifically the same 3 geographic areas at about every 4 months. The trash man has a brain freeze and doesn't pick up the trash. The way we wrote our contract and the way we do write our contract is that there are penalties. I mean, there's penalties for everything. The trash collector can be penalized for throwing a trash can, dumping trash in the street, and obviously if they do not collect trash, we can penalize them financially for that. I've had the question asked, you know, all right, what happens with that money? The penalty is not necessarily that we go and tell the trash hauler they have to write a check to us. We just deduct it off of the last invoice. And then obviously that money just stays in the, you know, the general fund to be used for other items. So it's not like we're going to get a check from the trash hauler for a certain amount of money. We're just going to deduct. I haven't had a chance to look at the contract to see how that is spelled out specifically, but I'm pretty sure it's a fine that will get the trash hauler's attention. In this particular case, the excuse we were given is that they had a new driver who was not familiar with the area. Well, you know, we all know that's not really going to fly because you know, it's really hard to miss these developments per se, and it always seems to be the same geographic areas that don't get picked up. The street we're paving, that project has been completed. We paid our last bill, which was basically the retainage. We withhold money on the contract, so that was that purchase order just got issued today. We are addressing some stormwater management issues up in Summerhill that Commissioner Arthurreath had alluded to. Our guys are working on getting that scheduled. Basically, this is a testament to why we do things differently now than the way we used to. Summerhill is not a very old development, and there's no reason why that street had to be repaved in 2008 in the condition that it was in. And when you look at the street now, there are still structural issues with the subbase underneath that road because of its original installation. Furthermore, just about every single storm drain up there has collapsed. And I'd like to just help you to understand, this ties into why when you have a development built, and you recall we have issues with the letters of security with Maple Heights and the letters of security with Bryant's Grace, and the developers trying to get out of having to put those letters of credit up. When a development is being built, a developer is required to put, typically in today's age, 110% of what the estimated construction cost in as a line of credit to the town of Rising Sun in this case. And if anywhere during the process the developer decides not to finish the project, there's a letter of credit there that the town can come in and either complete the project or cover whatever expenses it would have as a result of the developer going belly up. But once the town takes dedication on a project, there is typically a letter of credit put aside to basically guarantee that the work is going to hold up over a period of time. And although the Summer Hill development is obviously past that time that a letter of credit would have covered, they have been fixing storm drains up there almost from the get-go, and the road started deteriorating from the get-go. And the letter of credits, if you look back in time, were released too quickly. We went through this whole issue with Summer Hill a couple of months ago. But when people wonder why we have letters of credit and why we're such a stickler about it, that is done to protect the taxpayers of the town. And we have, a couple developments here where these lack of letters of credit or the way they've been handled are creating a problem. We have received prices for the completion of the Bryant's Grace development and the Maple Heights development. We are working with the bank to see what portion of the letter of credits, what is left with those letters of credit, to make sure that in essence, the developer pays for that final work that has to be done in those two areas. To piggyback on what Mayor Marion had said, and I have not had a chance to talk to you after the conversation with the contractor today, he will be back on the site tomorrow. He has said that he will have the project done by the end of the week. We are still waiting to get a price to put the new driveway entrance in, and he is having a couple triaxles of stone delivered at the existing entrance to make it so it's not such a nasty transition down into the parking lot. So that should be taking place this week. The Planning and Zoning Board, I'm not sure if Commissioner Arthur-Nuith was going to be covering this, the reorganization and when they want to have the meetings from now on, if you were going to cover that. Code enforcement, I'm in the process of doing renovations at the middle school. Because of security issues, we all read the paper and see in the news every once in a while all these tragic events that happen at our schools in this country, and the Cecil County Public School System is taking steps to try to ensure the safety of the students at these facilities. So our middle school is going through a process of creating a new opening into the school that will basically have a series of doors that you have to be buzzed through, some observation windows that you can see who comes through, and if somebody manages to get through the first security area, they can be cordoned off with secured doors in a little, basically a vestibule area there. So there's some renovations being done over at the middle school that are supposed to be done by the start of the school year. So we're in the process of doing inspections for that. The other item, I've had some people ask me about this, so I figured I would cover it. You will see down at the town center, I believe in the area of the current Chinese restaurant, a temporary banner hanging up for UPS. That is the franchise of UPS looking to see if there are any potential investors or people that would want to open up a UPS shipping store out of that location. It's not a guarantee that UPS is coming. They're just throwing a feeler out there to see if there's any local investors that would want to open up a chain in that area. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Town Administrator. The Historical Preservation Commission, do you have a report tonight?
Just real quick. The Preservation Commission is planning a field trip or trip to Mount Harmon in October. Anybody that's interested in going on that, the cost of that will be $8. And we are working on the Civil War reenactment that will take place in October as well. And that's it.
Thank you. Any old business tonight? Hearing none, any new business? No new business?
Want me to bring up this during new business?
You can, sure.
Okay. And Chief, I may pull on you a little bit on this one. For our new canine, we need some equipment for our police car. It's the hot and pop unit, and it's basically to prevent or to keep the dogs safe if the cooling system is to fail in the vehicle. And Chief, if you'd like to go into that a little more.
A K-9 unit works, long hours. The units here, the one unit we do have here, they work a 10-hour shift. The dog's in the car pretty much for 10 hours. And we have those days where the dog does not leave the car for any call for service, just for exercises. In the event the officer gets a call and does not need the dog, he leaves the dog in the car with the air condition going, the vehicle secure. However, if there's a mechanical failure, the engine could stop running, the officer would not be aware of it, the car's temperature can elevate quickly. If that occurs, the system, once the temperature reaches a certain level, will automatically roll the windows down and the horn will sound to notify the officer that something's gone wrong and he needs to get back to his car for his dog. It prolongs the life of the animal, and it doesn't arbitrarily release it to the community. It just opens windows and makes sure that there's air movement and the animal does not, meet its demise in a hot vehicle.
So, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to add that, in this day and age, I think this is extremely important. Some of you have read in the news and watched on the news about animals being left in their cars with people going into shop or to just accidentally leaving them in the vehicle. And some of these animals have passed away because of the heat. So I think it's very important that we take extra steps to make sure that Rudy is safe.
Yes.
So the vehicle equipment is going to cost $2,615.74, and that's for the hot and pop unit, the heat alarm, the auto on option, and the installation here at Town Hall.
Yes.
So I make a motion that we approve the expenditure of $2,615.74 for this unit for the dog safety.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Town administrator, if I'm correct, we already actually have this budgeted, do we not?
Not specifically.
Not,
but we
not
have
specifically.
equipment.
Okay, we have an
Safety
equipment
equipment budget.
budget, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you, Commissioner
May I
Warnick.
add to that? It's great that you all passed that. I have reached out to see if there's some grant money that can fund this. In the event that we get the grant funding, it saves the town money.
You won't need our money.
Right, but in the long run, if we don't get the funding, we still have to do something with it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move into the commissioner comments, but before I move into the commissioner comments, I wanted to make a brief statement regarding the vacant position. I have had a meeting with a potential candidate. I have a couple of more meetings this week. My intent is to appoint the next commissioner at the next meeting that we will have, which will be the beginning of August. And that is my intent. That's why I am waiting, because I got some information from two candidates that want to be interviewed at this time. So moving into commissioner comments, Commissioner Alton-Reith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple of things, since we haven't had a whole lot going on the past couple of weeks. On the 17th, last Thursday, I attended the quarterly meeting of the Hartford Cecil chapter of the Maryland Municipal League. It was hosted by the town of Havre de Grace. At that, the speaker was Mike Hunninghake from Environmental Finance Center, who was there to promote becoming a certified sustainable community, which we'd have to go through a lot of steps, earn up to 150 points. This could be a pretty tedious thing, and there's no guarantee that right now it would bring us some quick money, but it's something we might want to consider later on. So that was a nice event to attend. Another thing that happened that night, there was a vote taken. Councilman Minner from Chesapeake City was voted to be representative to Will Mapco. Calvin already touched on the storm drain repairs over in Summer Hill. There was 2 over there that are a very serious safety issue, and I was through there the other day, and it looks like they're making good progress on that. On to planning and zoning, our next meeting is Monday the 28th, 7 p.m. here on the 3rd floor. After that, we will be starting in August. Our meetings will switch from the 4th Monday of each month to the 3rd Monday, with our August meeting on August the 18th. And then each meeting going forward from then will be the 3rd Monday at 7 p.m. here on the 3rd floor. We have some openings. Residents who are interested in these openings should submit their intent in writing to the town hall, to the town administrator, mayor, and commissioners with all their contact information. I've had a couple of people contact me, and then the information I've got, I've reached out to them, and I don't know if it's called vacation or what, but if we have phone numbers, email, and home phone, cell phone, we can make sure we get in touch with these residents so we can fill these positions. So that's all I have tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Alton-Raith. Commissioner Walker.
I don't have much to report. The sewer wastewater treatment plant construction has not started up again yet. However, the new contractor is in the process of mobilizing to start work. There have been some delays, as I understand it, with approvals from MDE that might be holding this up a little bit, but we expect work to begin before too very long.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker. Commissioner Warnick.
Yeah, and we had our grand opening, I guess, of the park. Was July. It was Saturday after July 8th, so that'd be July 12th, 11th, 12th, something like that. There were a number of people that attended that, and it was a good event. Kind of was a tour of the park, and we got some pictures with the current and previous 2 mayors. We had movies in the park last Saturday, whatever date that was of the month. My days numbering's mixed up a little bit right now, but that was pretty well attended. We had about 100 people. It was we moved the screen over a little bit and created a little bit better environment. It's a wider but not as deep area, and it was pretty well full. I think the viewing was a little bit. This screen was a little brighter, so it kind of worked out a little bit. We're experimenting with that a little bit to see if we can kind of mitigate some of the headlights on the movie screen. On the railroad right away through town, I've started some very preliminary talks with the county on the section actually between Hopewell and Biggs Highway. We may have a development on that that's going to help us get moving forward on some of those kinds of activities. The Economic Development and Arts Council, hopefully within the next meeting or 2, will start having some of those things moving forward. We're finalizing some of those, I guess, resolutions or ordinances, whatever it may be. I met with the police chief last week to discuss some of the things going on with the police department, and of course for the K-9 unit. So we made some movement on that tonight. And then we're also looking to hopefully bring in some organizations like SBA and SCORE and see if we can make some consultations and possibly even some business funding loans available to people interested in starting new enterprises here in town. So that's all I have to report for tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Warnick. The one thing I would add is that August 16th is our next showing of Movies in the Park. That is going to be a movie called Divergent. And the last showing, which was the 19th, this past Saturday, I officially handed over the reins to Commissioner Warnick. So he will be in charge of Movies in the Park from now on. I will be there to assist him as much as he wants me to be there. So with that being said, is there any more business coming before the board tonight?
One additional thing I just thought of. With the whole trash situation over the weekend, I'd like to thank Town Administrator Bonenberger for the work that he put into that. He was on vacation from, Thursday to Monday, and I took up probably way too much of his vacation time trying to get the trash issue resolved. And additionally, thanks to Pam for Monday morning leaning on Waste Management and getting that taken care of. So.
Yeah, I would add to that myself and Commissioner Warnick tried very hard, because one of the neighborhoods that was missed was our own neighborhood, to contact them to let them know as soon as possible. Both of us had, like I said, Dave has 2 and I have 1 exchange student from Spain, so we were out showing them the area. So we sent some calls to the town administrator and to Pam, and we got that issue resolved. Any more business coming before the board tonight? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion for adjournment, please.
Motion we adjourn?
Second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.